right, so this is the lecture for section 3.2. I'm only going to do 3 problems here, number 13, 15, and then 25, because basically it will cover what you will see on the quiz for this particular section. So the first one, and I talked about this in the previous section, is the vertical line test. So the vertical line test, if you look at the graph of a function or a relation, what you're trying to determine is that if you draw a vertical line, does it touch the graph of the relation of the function in simply just one point at a time? So for number 13, you can see here clearly that a vertical line test touches it at 2 points at the same time. So then this is not a function because it fails the vertical line test, right? Now for number 15, you can see that it only touches the graph of the function at 1 point at a time. So then the domain for this one would be all the values x such that x is between, I don't know what happened there here at the end, between negative pi and pi. Now the range actually goes, for this particular one, it goes from -1, y has to be, actually number 15, sorry. It goes from -1 to 1, so all values y such that y is between -1 and 1. And that's for number 15. So going to number 25, the first thing that we're looking for is the point -1, 2 on the graph of the function f of x 2x squared minus x minus 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out if the value of, if f of -1 is equal to 2. So here we're going to have -1, right? So -1 to the second power is just 1. So here we have 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2, right? 2 plus 1 is 3, minus 1 is 2. So then f of -1 is equal to 2. So therefore, the point -1, 2 is on the graph of the function. Now, the next thing is we're going to say when x is equal to -2, right? What's the value of the function? So in other words, we're going to find f of -2. So here we're going to do basically the same thing that we did for the previous one, but we're going to change the value to -2, obviously. So -2 to the second power is 4. So here I have 2 times 4 plus 2 minus 1. So 2 times 4 is 8, right? 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. So therefore, the point -2, 9 is on the graph of the function f of x for this particular one. So for letter C, it says if f of x is equal to -1, what is the value of x? So in other words, here's my function, and it says it's equal to -1. So I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 to both sides. When I add 1 to both sides, I get -2x squared minus x is equal to 0. So I can actually factor out an x, right? So then x is equal to 0. 2x minus 1 is equal to 0, the zero factor theorem. So 2x is equal to 1, x is equal to 1/2. And so for this particular one, the function is equal to -1 when x is equal to 0, or x is equal to 1/2. And that's how you do part C for this particular one. Now for D, the domain of f of is just all x is a real number, right? And it is because it's f of x is a polynomial, like we stated in the previous section. So for part E, we're looking for whenever the x-intercept, so f of x is when it's f of x equal to 0. So we have 2x squared minus x minus 1 is equal to 0. So if we were to factor this, we end up with 2x plus 1, and x minus 1 is equal to 0, which means x is equal to negative 1/2, and also x is equal to 1. So then the x-intercepts would be negative 1/2, 0, and then 1, 0. So for f, we're looking for the y-intercepts. In other words, when x is equal to 0, so here we have this, minus 0, minus 1, which gives us negative 1. So the y-intercept is just 0, negative 1. And so that's how you do number 25 step by step. Basically, I believe one of these problems is on the homework assignment for 3.2. And that's the end of 3.2. Thank you.